Morning all, how are we doing? Happy Monday. Back again, another exciting week. Sounding very excited about the week, aren't I? Just to give you a heads up, I've got a hire car arriving this morning at some point. I'm not quite sure when, it's sometime between 8 and 11, they've said. So I may have to either pause or cut the stream a little short if they turn up. My wife's hopefully going to be able to take care of it, but I'm not sure who's got a sign for it or anything. So my car got dinged a couple of weeks ago and I've just got a loan car coming. And do you know what? Guess what loan car they gave me? I've got a BMW iX3, people carrier type thing. What do you reckon a hire company would give you as a replacement for a BMW iX3? I was thinking Mercedes, maybe another BMW, just a normal X3 or something like that. No, a Maserati. So I've got a Maserati turning up this morning. Would you believe it? Apparently it's the only comparable car they had in stock. But hey, I'll take it. Maserati. Can't go wrong with a Mazda, can you? It's got a Ferrari engine in it. Anyway. So, morning ladder, morning Vinod, Diamond. We got 7 minutes to the Frankfurt Open. Did anybody catch the gap fill this morning? Sorry, I've just realised I've got a whacking great black thing appearing in the top corner of the screen, which is my streaming software. I'll get rid of that. Anybody catch the gap fill this morning? Yes, it wasn't an Audi, no. That's what I was thinking. Audi, BMW, Mercedes maybe? No, Maserati. Let's figure that one out. Insurance company trying to make some extra money off the hire, I reckon. So got the gap fill this morning. I've got two positions on at the moment. They're both sitting at break even, so I can't lose anything on it. It's a fairly decent gap. 0.7 in profit at the moment this morning. We're just coming up into potential resistance. We've got a lot of resistance areas from Friday potentially to get stuck on. So we'll see if the move happens fast at the open. I'm hoping they're going to come up and head for the gap fill at the open, but we'll see. Don't fall in love with it. No, that's the trouble, isn't it? It's the old trick when I had my Porsche. If you take your Porsche into the garage for a service or repair or whatever, they put you in the latest top spec Porsche. So that you fall in love with that and you come back and going, oh, mine's crap, I want one of these. It's an old trick, isn't it? But yeah, BMW certainly wouldn't put me in a Maserati. Anyway, it's the people carrier version anyway. It's not it's still a V8 or V6, but it'll be fun. Gap fill this morning. We've got in play. So I'm just targeting below that. I'm targeting just below this low. As I say, there's a lot of resistance areas anyway from Friday. There's also resistance from previous days, last week basically. We've got in between us and the gap. So we'll see if we get that at the open. Closed out this morning a couple of trades. Euro US dollar hit target from Friday. So I took that, second position on Friday up here, just before we got the reverse alert. Actually, I had a pending order sitting in the market, which I got triggered. I added to it as we came into profit, and that one hit TP this morning down at this gap. You see my TP there. Second position is on and running still at break even, and same with the Aussie dollar Swiss. Aussie dollar Swiss was a trade from last Thursday. We got the reverse alert on the hourly, which I took. This was based on the 4-hour sort of market structure and range high here, and playing it back down. So I was playing it back down into here, roughly somewhere. That was actually my target on it, but I had too much profit on. I had, as you can see, $230 odd profit on it, so I just took that off. And I've left the other one running at break even. So hopefully all we'll get today, we got a bit of a gap. So I'm hoping basically they'll just pull back a little bit today and drop it and continue. But if I get stopped out at either of these at break even, I get stopped out. I've banked a decent amount on it anyway. So those are off. 4 minutes to the open. just see where we get to. I might time with the idea of taking 0.5% off actually, just to get 0.5% in the bank before the open, which would be nice. We'll see. Morning, Burke. It's a fairly decent push this morning though. All the other indices, the FTSE's pushing up hard at the open. The US indices not quite as much as the DAX, but they've also, all the other indices have also got gap fills to do this morning as well. So we're pushing up basically on everything to try and get these gaps done early on by the look of things, which may well mean we're having another down day, but we'll see. So while we're waiting for the market to open, I'll quickly cover the news this week so far. It's a really rubbish news week. Look at this. The calendar's tiny. We've got Saunders speaking this morning. Kind of ignore that really. We've got Waller and Mester tomorrow. Again, unlikely anything is going to come out of that. We've got Lagarde at 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Where is she? 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I've got my clock wrong, look. What's all that about? I don't know why that's changed. They've obviously done an update or something. Where are we? 6:58. No, it's not. It's 7:58. I'm done. Let's try again. Right. 2 o'clock this afternoon. We've got Saunders speaking. Evening speaking by Weller and Mester. Yeah, that's more like it. The guy, what the hell is she doing up at 4 o'clock in the morning somewhere? On Wednesday morning, we've got OPEC, which could affect CAD and oil, obviously, on Wednesday. And then the first news event of the week is CPI on Wednesday afternoon. We've got inflation and GDP for the pound, and then PPI on Thursday for the US dollar. And then Friday, we've got University of Michigan sentiment and Mester speaking again. So there is no news this week, really. The only news we've got that's going to be potentially impactful are those two. So it's a really rubbish week for news. So market's probably going to be fairly slow. Obviously, just moving as it needs to move, not waiting for anything this week. So we should just see just normal market structure playing out and them taking wherever they want to go. 1 minute to the open. Commitment of traders, I'm not really going to cover. I'm still not paying much attention to this. Aussie and New Zealand are flip-flopping around. Yen still massively weak. Euro still weak. Pound for some reason they think is a long. CAD is a long, which is probably right, and US dollar is a short, which I don't think is right. So this is all rubbish, I think, at the minute. Pound, I really don't understand why they think the pound is long. That thing is awful at the moment. Market's just opened. So all the pound pairs basically a little bit of a pullback on Friday, but yeah, weak across the board apart from against the yen. Well, we've got a really strong US dollar this morning as well. That's opened with an absolute flyer this morning. Has a really good Asian session. Yeah, it's opened fairly strong. Look at US dollar yen and US dollar Swiss. Good strong movement this morning. Looks like we're pushing up at the open. Closing half of that out. Just going to go to break even on the rest. Let the rest of that run. Let's see if we can get that fill. $136.3, 136.34 is my target on the other platform. Yeah, it's miles out. My TP is here on my my Forex funds account. Basically show very different, the charts are very different. So that's the DAX on my Forex funds. Might let that run actually on that account. I'm just going to stick a trailer on that at 350. I'll let that trail just in case. See what happens. Right, so we'll go through all the FX pairs this morning. I've still got some open trades at the moment from last week. I've got the Aussie dollar Swiss running short, so that's the second part of that trade. I've got that running at break even. I've got Swiss yen on at the moment as well, which is a long, hasn't gone anywhere, so I'm at break even on that one. Got a second position on down there this morning. So I had a pending order basically set down here, which got triggered this morning. So I'm in my second long on that. I've got Euro odd running. I've just taken a second position on that this morning. We just had a reversal alert on M15 this morning, so I've just taken a second on that as a short. We've got a very weak Australian dollar at the moment. The Aussie's not had a good Asian session. So that's why we've got that push up on the Euro odd. So I think we're going to get some weakness on the Euro coming through. So just basically taking the second position on that one. It's a good 112 pips apart. So about 3/4 of an ADR apart on those two positions. Euro CAD I've still got short. Got a sell on that. I've got 4 sells on this now. I said I was only going to take 3. I'm not far, I mean pretty much at break even on it. So I'm looking for a pullback down into here, into the support rectangle after this big strong push. So this is kind of a wide accumulation here before we pushed up. So I'm looking for a push back down into this area to test it. I'll probably get out of that because I'm quite overloaded on the Euro at the moment. I've got too many shorts on the Euro. So if I can get out of this one with a bit of profit, I'll probably close all 4 of these out and just leave the rest of my Euros running. Canadian dollar, I think, obviously the trouble with Canadian dollar this week is we've got OPEC on Wednesday. So with the CAD, we may well hang around a little bit until Wednesday. And obviously the Euro is weak at the minute and not doing anything. So we're getting pushed around by the Canadian dollar, and I'm not sure that CAD's going to move much early part of this week. So I'd kind of like to get out of it. I think the CAD will probably power up on OPEC, but we don't know. OPEC could come out and say something which gives negative impact on the on oil, in which case obviously that will have negative impact on the CAD as well. So but I would expect CAD to power up. So the market structure on this is pretty nice, and this is virtually where I would expect a pullback. I was thinking this was the pullback, which is why I'm in it short from down there. I got in short obviously when we started to push back down again and scaled in as we pushed up. So looks good. That's what I'm expecting. You see my overall TPs are back down at these lows, but it hasn't gone anywhere yet. So I'm a little bit cautious on that one. And I've got Euro US dollar short as well, which is the other part of that trade, which is running in profit. So I've just got that protected with a stop. I don't think I've got a TP on this. No. Basically, this obviously the Euro US dollar, we're stuck in a nearly 2-week accumulation at the moment. This, I believe, is the kind of spring high, and I think this is probably the return accumulation before the drop. So I'm looking for a break of the lows here. As soon as we break these lows, I think we've probably got a few days worth of movement. But that's going to be reliant on the US dollar powering up, which it is at the moment. But I'm looking for a break of the lows, basically, which is why I've put this one to break even and haven't got a TP on it. So if we do break these lows, I would expect pull back into resistance and drop. So I have no idea where it's going to drop to. I'm just going to let it run if it goes. If it doesn't go, it comes back up, gets me out, and I lose nothing. So not really worried about it. I've got that sell limit I can get rid of now, because I had another position up there in case we pushed up and retested those highs, but we didn't need it. So that's what I've got on at present. Opening range on DAX is in. Looks like we're just about to try and take the high out. We've got 2.5 minutes left. We're just pushing above pushing new highs at the minute. It'd be nice if we can hit that, which is about 20 away. I'm just going to let that run. On my other platform, I'm going to let it run with a trailer. This one I'm just going to TP out. So if I can grab this, it'll be 1.5% in the bank, which pretty much be me done for the morning. Banked 3% this morning already. So right. Okay, so let's have a look at the FX pairs while we're just waiting for that to TP. I just want to watch it because these gaps, in theory, that is where we should get to. In reality, we get roughly around about, and then we sometimes run away. So I'm just watching price action. I just don't want to get that close to my TP and then start to put in some bearish price action and just lose it, basically. I'd rather just bank 0.5% if we're going to pull back. So I either want 1% or 0.5%. I don't want to muck about up here. I've been stung too many times with it getting too close. There we go. So that's 1.5%. Good start to the morning. Right. No ADRs. So we haven't had any ADRs hit. Obviously, weeklies we've had nothing hit. Monthlies we've got a few to pay attention to at the moment, and that's the Euro Swiss, the Euro Pound, and the Pound Odd. So Euro Swiss obviously is right up at these highs. Euro Pound, we just had a reversal alert as well, and the Pound Odd, which is gone, so we've missed that already. So Euro Swiss is probably the best looking that we've got monthly hit on already. It's still pushing a little bit. The Euro and the Pound basically are both shorts, so I'm not really interested in taking any trades on the Euro Pound because it's got a very low ADR. I see the Euro Swiss hasn't got much of a different ADR at the moment, but it's got fairly low ADR. And it tends to be very range bound, as you can see. We get the odds flurry of movement, but because we've got two weak currencies against each other, we're probably going to get a lot of this type of action, which is great, and it is tradable. As you can see, I took some nice shorts and got out, so it's nice to trade ranges on it. But we had that big spike off of the Euro, off of the Pound rate announcement. God, still going to DAX. Keep going, DAX. Good reason to leave a trailer on. So just letting that trail out, basically. Got 350 pips on it. I'm targeting that. Propulsion move there, although that's not really, that's kind of, I suppose it is a propulsion move. We went from a kind of accumulation to an accumulation, so legitimately there should be potentially some sell orders there, but so yeah, just letting that run. Let your winners run, cut your losses short, as they say. So yeah, so I'm not really interested in the euro pound personally, but there's a very high probability of gap fade on this. So we got a very nice resistance here, which will likely turn support. There's going to be a lot of orphaned orders sitting in here, which the market will probably want to come back and rectify. So we've just had a reverse alert. We're just retesting at the moment. We're going to be reliant on a strong pound to push this down. So that's really what you need to happen to get this fade to work. There is a possibility that we'll get a propulsion move that doesn't get filled, as that one there. Because it's the euro and the pound and they're both very weak, there's not one currency that's going to take control and slam the other one in any direction, so to speak. So the more of these gaps we have that get left behind, and especially the size of that, the more likely it is the market will come back and sort them out. But you know, it can take days for that to happen, or weeks. Yeah, big propulsion moves there, another big propulsion move there, all got missed. It took 3 weeks to get back and fill them. So that's what will happen. We've got them here as well. So it's difficult to know when it's going to happen. So you've just got to basically get in and hope that the pound powers up. But obviously the pound at the moment is very, 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 very weak. We've got no news catalysts this week, really. We've got GDP. I don't think GDP really is going to make a lot of difference to anything at the minute. But we have got that on Thursday, which could potentially power up the pound. We've also got Lagarde speaking as well on Wednesday, but I don't think that she's going to say anything that's going to rock the boat. We know exactly what's going on with the euro and the rates and when they're planning to do everything. Unless she comes out and says, actually, we're going to do it now, then we might get some impact on the euro. Apart from that, no reason why we should. So Euro Swiss, to cut a long story short, is the one that I like the best. We've had a very, very, very nice move. It's been very orderly all the way up. It's a lovely buy cycle, and it needs to come to an end at some point. So everybody that's bought in here is going to want to start taking their profits very soon. We've got a Batman forming. Anybody familiar with the Batman pattern? For those pattern traders, which is a reversal pattern. So any kind of liquidity run at the highs and a bearish move during London today will be a good short opportunity. So I think this has got a good chance of coming down. I've got way too much euro on at the moment to take myself, but we're extended on the monthly. We've hit our monthly range already. We're only on the 9th of the month. Looks like a good opportunity to start shorting it up here. Not quite extended on the RSI on the hourly. We have been, and obviously we got that nice little push down from there. 4 hourly we are extended on. So we've had a very, very strong move. We slammed straight through this resistance that I was looking for. We came off of it, off the news, but we've pushed up again. So looking at logical areas to get additional positions on this one, somewhere around, I've got this level sort of drawn on, which is okay-ish up there, but there's lots and lots and lots of levels potentially that we could turn at. So it's very hard to pick a spot, but somewhere up here we're going to run into some form of chop, which will give us a little bit of a push back down again. So Euro Swiss looks good for shorts. Apart from that, there's nothing else on the ADR or the weeklies. Hourlies, there's a few which have just about got extended. I'm going to go through all the pairs anyway, so there's no point in covering these individually. We'll do them all. And then we've got a few on the 4 hour, mainly euro. And obviously the US dollars off the push we've had on the US dollar. So we'll go and have a look at these. I'm in a couple of these already anyway. But we'll run through all the FX pairs. Anybody got anything in particular they wanted to have a look at specifically? Wrong one. DAX is pushing up, pushing back at the minute. So we've got the gap fill done completely. Let's have a quick look at the DAX while we're on it. I've just been taken out on my trailing stop on the other account. It's nice, $460 for breakfast. So DAX wise, on the daily, obviously we had this big down day. On Friday, I was looking for that push down and then retracement. We didn't get it, basically. We got another down day. It's the first time for a long time we've had a big move down that hasn't retraced like that. Yeah, so whenever we get big moves down, we get these retracements typically. We didn't on Friday. So today, I think we're probably going to want to do a little bit of a pullback. It's already started with the gap fill. So if you take the gap fill out of the equation, I suspect we'll probably do something like that. A little bit of a pullback and then a push up. But this could obviously happen anytime in the Frankfurt session, or it could happen during New York. But it's difficult to say. It's a very difficult one to read today as to when to get in. So I'm quite glad that gap fill kind of played out this morning, because that's me done on the DAX really. But the others as well, we obviously had a big push down on all the indices, all the US indices. We had this level that I had drawn in on this candle, which was in control. So we had this big down move, and after that big down move, we just put in inside bar after inside bar after inside bar. Friday we broke it to the downside. So market structure to the short side is now, looks like it is continuing. So we've had an accumulation break. So typically what we get is a pullback, retest and drop from there. So market structure to the downside continuing. So that's really the market structure we're looking at. We're in the middle of that at the minute. So more downside, I suspect, on all indices, but likely to want to have a little bit of a pullback at some point. The interesting thing here about the S&P is we had this low put in, which we came back and retested last week. Friday, we retested that area again, and we didn't manage to break it. So I'm watching the S&P today during the New York session to see if we get a close back above that area, because in theory this is basically a rejection of the lows. So it could mean that we're just going into a range bound accumulation on the S&P, which would indicate that the Nasdaq will do something similar. But the Nasdaq is obviously weaker, the tech stocks are weaker than the S&P stocks at the moment. So although this is obviously broken out to the low and looks like nice downward market structure, you have to look at the S&P as well, because a lot of the stocks in here are also in the S&P, and they kind of move in tandem together. So if the S&P is going to push up and put a range bound move in, we will find that sort of movement coming on the DAX as well, but it will probably only get up to somewhere around there when the S&P hits its range high. So looking for clues basically across all the indices. They're a little bit difficult to read down here because there's a little bit of divergence between the two at the moment. The Dow is doing the same as the S&P. We're rejecting down at these lows. So again, if we get a break up, we're looking at this low here and kind of anywhere really around this area, I suppose. For rejection. So if we break back up above there, Dow potentially coming back up somewhere into those highs, or at least coming to retest this lovely support resistance area we've got here. So these highs here, yeah, so this zone here, about 34,100 on the Dow is a very, very strong potential resistance if we can get back anywhere near it. So difficult week this week because we've got a breakout to the downside and we've got support across the three US indices. The DAX obviously has been much slower, much smaller movements on the DAX. That's holding market structure in the same way as the Nasdaq is. So still looking short. But again, if we get a break and close back above there, this could well just be a false breakout, and we're putting back up into these range highs again. This is, because we haven't gone anywhere really, have we, in the last week? We're just stuck. So could well pull back up into there. So we'll see what happens. It's a difficult week for the indices this week. Gold, don't really trade it, as you know, but we've had a nice push down on gold. This is being driven by the US dollar at the moment, the US dollar strength that we've got coming through. So we had these lows, which was the support area, which we broke through, tried to break back up again, rejected it, tried to get back up again, rejected it. So the market structure's shifted sort of to the downside on this for the moment, but it's very, very, very tight down here. If we're going to continue to get US dollar strength, I would expect that to continue to go down. Based on the war, I would expect people to be buying gold. So again, confusion. The market is just really confused at the moment. There's so many factors influencing absolutely everything: interest rates, debt, the war, just, you know, the yen being so weak at the moment, safe haven currency shifts. It's just everything is very, 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 very difficult to read from a directional bias, because we've got nothing long term really to base anything on at the moment, because everything's, what are we going to do with the rates next month? It's the question every bank is asking at the moment. What are we doing with the rates next month? Everything's on such a tight margin at the moment. It's all about interest rates. We've had periods, you know, where we have had no interest rate changes for, you know, years, literally for years. I'm just seeing if there's no interest rates forecast, is there? No. But, you know, with the rates that we've had that have changed recently, where are we? What's the date? My brain is gone completely. Last week, wasn't it? There we are. So with the interest rate changes that we had, where's the Bank of England rate change gone? Oh my God. There we are, cash rate. It doesn't matter which one I use, I just want to use one as an example. You know, we've had nothing much change. Now, this is a really bad example because this is the Aussie. Let's choose one that actually is, there we go. Fed fund rate. So, you know, we've had very little change on the rates for, you know, year. We've been sitting stable for a long time. COVID, basically. Pre-COVID, you can see obviously what happened was we changed every sort of quarter, every half year, every 3 quarters a year. We were adjusting rates basically just to keep everything nicely in check, keep inflation in check, keep cost of living where it needed to be. And then we went, oh my God, COVID, and we went and got stuck. Now, every country has said we are changing interest rates and we are forecasting them to do this. We are forecasting inflation to do that. So rather than having this stability, which we've had over the last couple of years, we've now got instability in the fact that every month to every quarter we know something is going to change. So all we're factoring in at the moment is short-term movement, which is causing the markets to be very unpredictable. Because they're changing, the bias is changing on a monthly and a quarterly basis. So very hard to pick anything long term at the minute. So with gold, it's the same thing. It's all going to be based on what the US dollar does, and the US dollar is expected to continue to rise. Therefore, we would expect gold to continue to go short. So where it's going, nobody knows. But you want to be getting in on the hourly, 15, 5-minute time frames, getting short term. You want to be in and out. So if you're going to scale into positions, scale in within a week and try and get out within a week. That's all we can really do. Deep pullback on the DAX. Yeah, just watching that on my other monitor. DAX has just pulled all the way back into there, which is where we opened. So potentially good long opportunity here. If we're going to pull back and do a long. So obviously we've had this big downward movement on the DAX. Looking on the other chart. As I said, we're likely to get a pullback today. So if we're going to do it during the Frankfurt-London session, this is where we're going to get it here. So you're getting a bullish engulfing potentially forming. Got 3 minutes left on this candle. If we get that bullish engulfing forming there, you've got a nice long opportunity. So we've got the opening range breakout, retest, push. Where we're going, no idea. I mean, from Friday, there's so many places in here you could just pick. No idea where we're going to the upside on this. That obviously is a good area as well. So that 2-day accumulation before we had that big spike up and then we collapsed. So anywhere up to 125 ADR potentially today. If you look at it on the daily, that's what I would be looking at somewhere in here. And this week potentially hovering around in there. So yeah, but yeah, nice potential long opportunity on the DAX. I'm not trading DAX anymore today. I've done 1.5% already this morning on it. Don't want to push it. Right, so that's indices and gold. So let's have a look at everything else. So Aussie dollars. Aussie dollar CAD has obviously been dropping based on the Canadian dollar strength over the last week. On Aussie dollar weakness as well. Aussie dollar has been very, very weak recently. We had that big strong push during the war. Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar came out on top in March off the back of the war. So put in some really good strong moves. That's all now been undone. We've come back into an accumulation. Where we're sitting is down at this resistance and support area here. Very strong level, bounced off of it once. We're just retesting it again now. So if this is going to hold, this is the retest for a long position. That's going to rely on the Canadian dollar weakening, which will rely on OPEC on Wednesday and what happens there. So right now, it's a nice looking long opportunity. Not extended on the RSIs anywhere. So you haven't got any real strength of movement where they haven't done any profit take moves. But yeah, it looks like a long, lovely support resistance based long. But obviously you are going counter trend here. So market structure is potentially putting a new peak formation low. We've put in a new high. We've broken these highs here, pulled back. We're double bottoming, potentially to push back up again. Alternative is we're going to break this low and just go into a bearish market structure. Don't know which. Take your pick. If you're long biased, you want to get in now. If you're short biased, you want to wait for it to break, pull back and jump in short. Aussie dollar Swiss is the one that this is obviously the one that I'm in. Just taken that profit off this morning. Covered this one last week. We got these highs basically. So what the reason I took this trade on Thursday last week, I think it was Wednesday, was because we were putting in decreasing highs here. So I was anticipating this being the next low, and obviously we're putting in lower lows. So target overall is down below these lows. I haven't got a target running on this second position, just lower. In fact, I might just stick a target down at these lows down there. If we get a nice big drop for any reason, it's only an ADR away, isn't it, really? So it's worth a shot. Just taking these lows, probably going to push a little bit lower if it continues to do its bearish market structure, which hopefully it will do. So Aussie dollar Swiss already in that one. Aussie dollar yen, again, all these yens, I'm still not playing with the yen. As you can see, I haven't got a clue where the yen's going. It hasn't got a clue where the yen's going. We've been stuck here now since March, end of March, 6 weeks sideways. No idea. All the yens are the same until Kuroda comes out and does or says something. No idea. The yen is weak. It's being pushed around by other currencies. The Aussie dollar's weak. The yen is weak. That equals a range. That's what we've got. Same with the New Zealand dollar yen. Sideways. Oh, we just broke that low. I'll look at that in a minute. Aussie New Zealand. Aussie New Zealand's been very, very strong. So the Aussie's been stronger than the New Zealand dollar. We were nicely extended last week on the RSI on this one. It did pull back, but you were taking a trend, a mean reversion basically in a big uptrend. So quite dangerous one to take. Hasn't got very far. Morning, Trev. This is the support area that we'd be looking for it to pull back into. Hasn't got down there, so that is my preferred trade, is a long on the Aussie New Zealand at the moment, just based on, obviously we're long, sticking with the trend basically at the moment. Aussie dollar is stronger than the New Zealand dollar. It's interesting that they flipped long on the COT report on the Aussie this week, and then they flipped short on the New Zealand. Usually these guys work together a lot of the time. Obviously, as you can see in the last year, they've been at odds with each other. Because obviously one moves, the other gets dragged with it. Normally you'll find that sort of movement because they're very strong trading partners next door to each other. They tend to move in tandem. They're really out of sync at the minute. Everything's out of sync at the minute, but they're really out of sync at the minute. Australian dollar is obviously a lot, as you can see, stronger than the New Zealand dollar has been, for a long time, for the whole year basically. So only be looking really for long opportunities on this. Support and resistance bounces, so looking for it to get back down to there, looking for it to bounce off the 24 or the 72, and ideally if we get any extensions to the downside on the RSI like here, you can see I took a long there, then be looking to get in that long, but not at the moment. It's not got anywhere we want to get. Aussie dollar, US dollar, DAX is just pushing up. Anybody that's getting in this DAX, trying to anyway. We didn't get that bullish engulfing. We put in a new lower high and a lower low. So this candle is putting in a higher low and a higher high, which is a fractal. Always be learning. Aussie dollar, US dollar. This one's tricky. We've got a big, strong US at the minute. We've got a weak Aussie. It's a lovely area of potential support resistance down here. We're not quite extended. We were extended down here. As you can see, this thing flew all the way down. Good example of how position trading works here. You can see this thing came down screaming. I took a long, I took another long, I escaped both with a profit. Long profit. Yeah, so I'm trading very much against the trend here, getting out of all these positions with a profit. This is a lovely bounce opportunity down here where we are at the moment, because we've got this level of potential support down here and down here. But the US dollar is very, very strong. And I think it's going to continue to be strong. So really the best trades on this are shorts back down into there. We're very extended at the minute, so it's likely to pull back a little bit this week. But I can't really see an area to get in short. That to me is too aggressive to get in. When we pull back up above this accumulation, really somewhere in here is probably the best place to take a short. So this support rectangle here from the market reverse alert indicator, pulling back into that and then shorting out of there is probably the best play at the moment. So waiting to see what happens with the US dollar this week. We've had a pretty good open. We're sitting in accumulation at the moment, but it's been pretty strong. Obviously the US dollar last week, so I think it's probably going to continue in that vein. So looking for a little bit of a pullback early week and then a push back down again on that one. CAD Swiss, this is going to be based off of what happens with the OPEC meetings. I'm long the CAD, the Swiss is neutral. So yeah, basically just continuation longs on that. So give me 1 second. So I thought the card arrived, but it hadn't. So yeah, CAD Swiss, looking for long opportunities on this one. Again, very difficult to get into. this is where I'm looking for a bounce back somewhere into this 24 area. It's been held very, very, very nicely so far. So looking for some kind of bounce back to get along on it. CAD's very strong. Swiss has got nothing at all at the moment. But as you can see, missed the opportunity last week on it, but it's just sideways at the minute. So waiting for some kind of pullback to get into a long position on that one. Again, not extended, not really anything that's particularly interesting to me at the moment. CAD yen, same thing, sideways. Looking for longs on everything against the yen, but it's not giving any clues or indication. The whole of last week, if you'd have taken a long on it, you're still in it. You're probably actually either in drawdown or at break even. Yeah, it's just not gone anywhere. So just can't really trade it sideways. You can trade it M5. Yeah, just getting up here and getting down here. It's really all you can do with it if you want to, but it's just not particularly interesting to me at the minute. Swiss yen, same thing, sideways. I've got my buys on this one purely because we're back down at this support. So looking for that long opportunity. Short, obviously yen. Yen's very, very weak, so I'm long everything against the yen, but only really looking at longing anything against the yen if we're at a decent level. So a logical area to take a trade is at a support. This support has held very, very well, so that's where I'm getting in. I will take a portion of this off as we start to move into profit and break even the rest. But I've got a stop here, as you can see, on both of these positions. If this thing breaks down below this level, I think we've got a very strong chance of it being the yen power up, because I don't think the Swiss franc's going to do anything. So if that does break, there's a good chance that's yen strength, and if that's yen strength, I do not want to be trying to position trade my way out of this thing because it's got nowhere to stop. Yeah, we went accumulation, breakout, accumulation, and this is where we've been. So yeah, don't want to get stuck in this. If this breaks down below there, I want to be gone. So so yeah, lovely looking opportunity. You can get into this right now as well. M15, we just chopping around Friday. We had a little bit push down, so we've had a couple of little pushes down last week. We've just done a lovely liquidity run today of yesterday's low. So we've just taken out last week's low basically this morning. Yeah, any kind of push up on this basically above these highs, we should be good to go. If not, I'm out. So I'll be out. I'll either be out today or I'll be in profit. But you know, it's the yen, so it could well just go sideways. Who knows? Euro odd. I've got my shorts on this one. Euro, I'm always short. Australian dollar at the moment is very, very weak, which has given the euro an opportunity to push up on RSI. We had a lovely push up, as you can see, which I traded that one out there when we pushed up into these highs. We're pushing up into these highs again, so I've taken my first position as we rejected. Let's just zoom in so we can see what the hell we're doing. So we had this support, we pushed up and rejected, so I got into an initial position, and then we pushed up and we broke these highs, so I've taken a second position up here, and then there would be kind of where I would expect to get my third and final position on to go short. If that then slams through there and we get an ADR push, i.e. a massively weak Australian dollar, which continues, then I will have to look at getting out of this. But yeah, at the moment it's looking good. Nice indecision candles going in at the moment on the 4 hour, but we've got that level of resistance there, which at some point I should expect on the 72 moving average to get some kind of price reaction if it gets there. But market structure on this one, we're kind of expanding out. Look, it's just it's another one of those expanding wedges, which is very difficult to trade, because the further out it expands, the further you would expect it to come back down, whereas normal market structure is kind of like that. This is kind of going like that. which is, they're tricky to trade, but highly rewarding if they work. So, but we had a reversal alert on that this morning. There, so I've taken the second entry on that one. We're just retesting at the moment, so just about, if we break back down below this level, you get the retest arrow short. Oops. So that's Euro odd. Euro CAD, I've got the sell on this one as well. I say I'm a bit overloaded on the euro at the minute. Euro CAD's not going as well as I was hoping. This Canadian dollar hasn't strengthened up. We're stuck in an accumulation at the minute. I don't like these wicks to the downside. It's looking fairly strong, and if it breaks back above this level, I'm not quite sure where we're going. So I'm keeping a close eye on this one today. If we start pushing up too high, I'm probably going to start to scale out of this, but I'll see where we go. As I said, if we can get back down here today, i.e. if we just go into a bit of a range today, obviously ADR is miles away at the moment. If we can get a range today, I will probably escape this and just reduce my exposure on the Euro CAD. The reason I'm reducing this one is because I've got 4 positions on this one, so I should be getting out of that one, Euro CAD. Euro Swiss, same thing, looking for shorts on this one. It's just broken out to the highs this morning. So Euro Swiss is very, very nicely extended. We've been in a downtrend on the Euro Swiss for an absolute age. This was a lovely short opportunity based on this resistance area, which didn't hold. So next level is somewhere up in here. If we get up to ADR on this today, nice looking short opportunity. We had an entire week where the euro pushed up last week. There's no reason for this apart from Swiss franc weakness at the moment. So I'll be looking for short opportunities on that. On any time frame really, dropping down to M15, looking for reverse alerts, even M5. But if we get anywhere near ADR today, that's a good looking short opportunity. Euro Swiss. Euro pound, as I said, I'm not looking to trade that. It's just sideways. It's pushed out obviously the highs at the moment based on the pound news last week, but I'll be looking for the pound to strengthen before the euro. So more likely to get shorts on it, but I don't really want to trade this at the moment. It's just not worth it, I don't think. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It's difficult to spot where this is going to go. Likelihood is we're going to be heading up into one of these areas, somewhere up here. But there's so many areas. Now we're getting up into this chop. Anywhere, there's just so many areas up here where we could potentially get a bounce from. Very, very difficult to tell. But overall, you don't want to be longing it really, do you? So, but this is the highest we've had. Yeah. So, we are doing better than the pound, which I never thought I would hear myself say. But euro is actually beating the pound for once, but don't think it's going to last. Euro yen, same as all the other yens, undecided. It's a long, but I can't long the euro, so I'm just not going to trade this. I just don't want to trade this. This one, funnily enough, has moved more than the other yen pairs, which is bizarre. But yeah, I'm not really interested in trading the euro yen at the moment. It's a long. I'm on the Swiss yen, which I prefer. So yeah, just it's a long. I wouldn't want to take it much higher than the highs, and I'd be very wary of this high here as well. We got stuck here. We kind of just, I think we're probably going to do that, but it's difficult to tell where it's going. So not really interested. Nothing clear on it. Euro New Zealand. Again, New Zealand dollar and Aussie dollar weakness. This one broke out of these highs. Remember I said there's nowhere for this one really to go until we get back up into this accumulation here, and then after that this accumulation up here. So we had that move, and then that was obviously the war. So yeah, we're approaching where we would be getting interested in this now. So if you draw support on the lows here of this accumulation, 125 to 150 ADR today, that is where I'd be interested in taking shorts on it. In fact, I'm going to put a little pen. No, I'm not. I'm convinced enough to put a little pending order up there on that, but I'm not going to, because I've got too much euro on short. But right underneath that accumulation is where I would look at getting in short. So somewhere up at the 166,500 level, around about there. That's where we had a nice half a week, 2-3 day accumulation and drop. So we had this nice little run down. They paused, accumulated more orders, pushed down from there. And then obviously as they were pushing down, the war kicked in and it just collapsed out of bed. So this is where we're going to start to meet some selling action. We're extended on the RSI. We've had a strong push without a profit take. It's all teeing up nicely for shorts. Euro US dollar, I don't want to get in the way of this one really. So as you see, I'm short on it already. It's just waiting for the US dollar, I hope, to power up for a new leg. If it doesn't, I'll get out of that. This is where we're likely to come back up to, but I can't see the euro having anywhere near enough strength unless Lagarde comes out and says something for it to get anywhere near there. So anytime it pushes up, as you can see, I'm looking for short opportunities on it. So yeah, but from the daily perspective, we've got these levels down here, which we are potentially going to find some support at. Historical levels always, hold out. We always get some kind of reaction around historical levels, so it'd be a good place to take a little bounce, dead cat bounce from. But I don't think we are going to hold up. Lagarde's got to come out and say something pretty dramatic to make this one stronger than the US. Pound, same sort of thing on the pound at the minute. Pound's in a bit of a mess. We've got a lovely pullback. So I put the fib on this one last week when we pushed back down to these lows. So we were looking for a pullback. 38 we slammed straight through last week. We're sitting up at the 50 now, which is around about all of this support around here. And then we've got this one candle all on its lonesome up here before this big drop, and we've got this one here as well actually, around about the 61.8 and 71.9. So if we get a push back up into here, into the 24 moving average, basically be looking for short opportunities on that one. But as I say, at the moment, Australian dollar still very, very weak, but looking for shorts on everything pound based at the moment. Just waiting for an opportunity. It's not at right levels at the minute, but you could take this anytime you like. When you get reversal alert on lower time frame or hourly, if you want to be a bit more cautious, but it's not extended to the upside, so it's going to be one of those which is probably going to just fizzle like that. So we'll get sort of anywhere around there, and then obviously you can scale in to it. Obviously the ultimate highs up here. If we get anywhere near there before we've done kind of pullback, obviously you might be in a little bit of trouble because something will have changed that's going to move it all the way back up there. So but yeah, shorts anytime soon on the pound odd. Same as the pound New Zealand. We've got the pullback done on this one already, pretty much. Yeah, we're up in the 61.8, 71.9 area. We're pushing back up to the 72 moving average. We're up at potential support resistance area. So again, it's all looking like an area where we should start looking to take shorts. Pound CAD. Morning, Tammy. Pound CAD. We had this area from the daily chart drawn in, which was these lows, historical lows. We came down and retested them. As you can see, I took a long down there. You can't really see, but I did take a long down there. So we got the lovely bounce long off of it. I got out fairly sharpish because we're against a massively strong downtrend at the moment, and obviously then it collapsed. We pushed straight through this area on the rate announcement, and we've just tapped back up into it again. So it's absolute textbook support resistance at the minute for a short right now, if you're looking at the hourly. So pound CAD expecting the Canadian dollar to continue to strengthen up on the back of oil prices, continuing down on the pound unless someone says something about the pound, which Bailey doesn't seem to want to do, that's going to bolster it. So that's a good short right now. How long you want to hold it for, difficult to tell, because we are now down below this daily support. This was the last chance saloon for the pound CAD. We are now in uncharted territory for decades. So where'd you go? It's just down. But it could well obviously be just a very deep move beyond that support and then push back up again, in which case then we'd be looking for it to come back up into this sort of area here. But yeah, I'll be looking for shorts on that one as well. Pound Swiss, same thing. Pound Swiss is holding up very, very nicely, as you can see. We've got this support area, but I'd be looking more for shorts on this one. Where it is right now is not of interest at all. It is of interest a little bit actually when you look at it from the perspective of filling this gap from the drop. We're at a nice level of support resistance potentially to continue next leg down, but we're also bouncing off of this zone at the bottom, so I'd much rather be looking for shorts somewhere up there. Once by the time we get up there, which may well not be this week, towards the end of this week, if we can get up there, that's where I'd like to start looking for shorts on this one. Pound Swiss, because the Swiss franc is very neutral at the moment, and obviously we've got a lovely range established on this, so it makes much more sense to wait for it to get up there, because I'm bearish on the pound. If you are not bearish on the pound and you're neutral or whatever on it, this is where you should have taken a trade on Friday, and you're in profit. So if you want to wait for some kind of pullback long and assume we're going to get back up to these highs, perfect. Just be aware of that for a potential leg down, but again, not really in an area I'm interested in. Pound yen, not interested. Again, this looks the same as the euro yen, pretty much. Just bouncing around, controlled by the pound at the moment, and the pound obviously is not. We had the rate announcement, but that's about it. Not really interested in it. Be looking for long opportunities. So if we could get down to potential levels of support and we see a nice bounce, so this level here, or sort of around this area, so this zone here basically, if we can get down to there, potentially that'd be a nice looking long opportunity. Pretty much the same trade as I'm taking on the Swiss yen. Yeah, I'm looking for an area of recent support to hold up, and for the yen to continue to weaken, therefore everything to strengthen against the yen. But the pound being so weak is probably not the best one to be taking. But if we get down to there, it's a good level. Yeah, good support. Pound US dollar short. Can't get into this thing. Yeah, short. Wherever it goes, short it. I don't know. Just it's very, very difficult to trade this. One of the weakest currencies against one of the strongest currencies. You're not going to get much of a pullback opportunity to get into it. So if we get a reversal alert on the 4 hour, I would look for it to get somewhere up into this chop and short it. I don't think it's really got much chance of powering up. We've got a very strong area of support here. Failing that, obviously, down to here. I mean, this is, I think, very achievable over the next sort of 3 months, getting us down there. I don't think the pound is going to strengthen anywhere near as much as the US dollar. So shorts, but how do you get into it? It's very difficult to get in at the moment. You're miles away from the moving averages. You're constantly embedded on the RSI. It's just very, very difficult to pick a spot to short it. So any kind of support and resistance, whenever we get anywhere near any of these, drop down low time frames and try and scale into a short. It's really all you can do on it. Right now though, I mean, you can't chase it down here. It could well collapse, you know, it could just do this all week, but it's a very high risk place to take a short, isn't it? So morning Alimin, I can't pronounce your name. New Zealand dollar, same as the Aussies. We're weak, especially against the Canadian dollar. So again, looking for short opportunities on this. Trying to get into something short is difficult. I'm waiting for a pullback on this, but it doesn't seem to be coming. So same as the Aussie. The Aussie dollar CAD, when you look at the Aussie CAD, we've had much more strength on the Australian dollar, but equally it's the same downward movement. It's just the Aussie dollar got that extra push. The New Zealand hasn't. So any kind of push, ready for a pullback, sort of drop on it really. But where you get in is it's another very difficult one to get into. If you look at it on the hourly, it's a case of fib pullbacks really and reversal alerts on lower time frames. So there's not really any decent levels of support and resistance on it because it's just been gradually, slowly collapsing. This is the only thing I would really class as possibly an accumulation, where you could say that is support, which has kind of turned into resistance there. We've already used it. So where do you pick? You know, it's just a very, very difficult one to get into at the moment as a short. So sticking your fib on it wherever this stops, and then potentially play a pullback short from that. But that's all you can do with it. So nothing really interesting on that. I'm looking for short opportunities. You're never going to get extended on the 4 hour. It's just not going to get back there. And if it does get back there, then I'll be looking. But at the moment, it's way too weak. New Zealand dollar Swiss, sideways mess. Not really interested in that one. Aussie dollar Swiss, I've already got my sell on in profit. It's a sideways mess as well, but obviously I took it from a high. New Zealand dollar Swiss, you didn't have that range to play off, so we're a lot stronger down move, but the market structure on this one is absolute textbook. So pulling back down into this accumulation, when we get down into there, potentially you might get a little bit of a bounce. So looking for short opportunities on this one, dropping down into low time frames, just take reversal alert short. New Zealand yen, same thing, not interested. Now this one has actually pushed back down below this low. This area here is the last accumulation before we kind of got to this bit where we were not really going anywhere, and then we kind of just jumped down a level. So down here, this is looking now like we are definitely breaking short. So remember I was saying with all these yens, to give me confidence to short a yen pair, I was looking for a breakdown for us to get a breakdown, reversal alert, push down, pull back, and then break that low. Yeah, so that is where I'd be thinking, right, we've got potentially an opportunity to short a yen. We've just done it. This is the first pair really it's convincingly done it on. And it's on the New Zealand dollar, which is one of the weakest pairs. Obviously, the Australasians at the moment are very, very weak against the yens. So we've got this breakdown. So potentially we could be looking for short opportunities, but this bit worries me. This accumulation, this is the last accumulation before the push, likely, as it's also the 72, to act as resistance, support. So if we pull back down into this area and we are not going to get any strength on the yen, I think that's probably where we're going to get bounced from. So this is what I was looking for to happen, but it's actually just what's really happened is it's gone into a range and it's just tapped below this level. So it's not, for me, it's not a convincing market structure break. It's just an accumulation. I'll dip my toe down there and have a look down here for a bit and then potentially pop. And this is obviously off the back of the New Zealand dollar being weak. So I kind of had this level drawn in, but you see it was from weeks ago, as I would like to see it slam through there. What I was looking for was that. Yeah, but what we got was that. So for me, it's not a great structure break. Just let me select the line MT4. So this is really where I would be looking at getting interested in longs on this down here. So if we can push down to ADR on New Zealand dollar yen, looks like a pretty good level. New Zealand dollar US dollar collapsing. Don't want to get in the way of it. No idea where we're going on this. Got lots of levels drawn in potentially, but no idea. We're in an accumulation. We're running into an area of chop basically down here. This level here that I had drawn in was very, very strong, and it's just collapsed through it. So I can't see anywhere for this to bounce long or any reason for it to bounce long. So again, another one of these you want to be looking for potential shorts on it. Good luck getting into it. It's just hard to get into any of these at the moment, and tell when you're going to get an entry. Not getting any RSI extensions, so it's just very difficult to get into. So kind of ignoring at the minute everything against the US dollar. Speaking of the US dollar, we just made new highs on US dollar CAD. So got a lovely double bottom bounce there. Made new highs. So again, looking for pullback and long. This is probably the trickiest US dollar to pair to play at the moment because of the strength in the Canadian dollar. Hence, we're getting a lot of back and forth because the CAD's powering up, the US is powering up, the CAD's powering up, the US is powering up. CAD possibly on OPEC. Then I'd be looking for some kind of movement on the US dollar. US dollar Swiss, again, same thing as all the others. Good luck getting in. Finding a pullback is very difficult on it. I tried to short it from here, as you can see. So when we got this extension here on the RSI and we got embedded for that entire week, pushed up, I was like, right, we're gonna want to pull back before the news. This is before FOMC, etc., etc. We didn't get it, so I scaled into the short and basically got out. We got embedded again for another week, attempted another short, got out a break even on that one. We stayed embedded for the vast majority of last week, shorted, got out. So basically, I've been trying to play mean reversion on this thing for 3 weeks. It's not having any of it. So I'm leaving it alone at the moment. I still think, as you can see, we are due one hell of a sell cycle to start at some point on the US dollar. The problem at the moment is the Swiss franc. We have nothing on the Swiss franc, no strength whatsoever. So just leaving it basically alone and let it just do its thing. I would say just look for pullback longs. So pull back into support rectangle, into accumulation, support, and try and get longs out of that there. Other than that, it's very, very difficult to get into. It's not got a massive amount of daily movement, this thing. Yeah, we're not getting massive ADR hits on it unless we've got news. So whenever you get into it long, it's the sort of thing you can get into it and then maybe get into another position and another position. If you get a couple of days of down like that, you're off. So it's trying to get in when you get these little pullbacks into those long positions, and scaling into them is the best thing to do. But yeah, I can't trade this thing at the minute. There's a lot better things out there to trade. US dollar yen, again, no idea. US dollar is obviously very strong and it's pushing up. This is a long up to 135. Even Bank of Japan have said they're happy to go up to 135. So you have to kind of play it long, but it's just a horrible thing to trade. It's just moving sideways. So it's got a good ADR on it. So it's it's a nice moving pair, but it's trying to pick an entry on it, which is again the difficult thing. So if you want to trade this, I would be looking at fib extension or pullbacks on whatever move you can identify. So where we're going at the moment from that low, wherever we get to on the way to 135, when we start to pull back, look at using fib and just assume we're going to do a 38.51 retracement again, scaling 2 or 3 positions and ride it up. But yeah, it's just very hard to get into. Good morning, bunker. That's all I've got for you this morning. Oh, excuse me. Maserati hasn't turned up. That's very annoying. Hopefully it'll turn up in a minute. Very excited. Yeah, so that's all I've got on basically at the minute. As I say, it's very, very difficult still to get into anything. So I'm waiting for obvious pullbacks on. Blimey, look at the DAX. Did not like that long one, did it? Okay, so we just got the gap fill. We've switched market structure short. So pullback shorts maybe. Don't know. Difficult today. Very difficult. Market's not happy at the minute. When you say that, it's not happy. It's not actually gone anywhere, is it? It's just had a push up and a pullback. So tricky at the moment. So yeah, so that's basically all I've got for you this morning. So I've banked a fair amount this morning. I've just banked something else. Oh, that's the DAX. Yeah, so basically what I've got on at the moment is, obviously you can see I've got the Aussie dollar Swiss short, I've got the Swiss yen long, and I've got all my euros short. So as I say, I'm overloaded. As you can see, I'm very overloaded on the euro. So I'm looking to do something about these euros today. I'm keeping a close eye on those, so I'm just going to manage those positions today, really. I want to get out of some of this because I've got too much on, and EuroCAD is the main thing that I'm looking at because it's the easiest for me to escape at the moment because I'm very, very close to a break even on it. And as I say, I've got 4 positions on. So if we could get a push down on the EuroCAD today, before we get to that support, I'm going to exit these if we can get down there, and then manage the rest. But I'm fairly confident in this EuroCAD. Obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see what is going on with the EuroCAD at the moment. We are incredibly short, so I'm not overly concerned. But we've got no news catalysts to drive market this week until Wednesday, so a long time to wait. Anybody got anything else they want to look at? Any other time frames or anything? Obviously, I've done an overview of every pair on what I look at, which is the 4 hour, and where we are. So, anybody got anything else they want to look at or discuss in any detail? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Japan has just prohibited the import of Russian oil. Interesting. When was that? This morning. Doesn't seem to have had any impact, that news. Not quite sure how much oil Japan gets from Russia, so doesn't seem to have done anything, does it? Can't help the Japanese economy, is it? Turning off its whatever it does get from Russia, having to turn that off and get it from somewhere else. It's only going to get more expensive, and that's only going to be more negative for the yen. So can't help us if we're can't hurt us if we've got any yen longs on. Right, that's all for me for this morning. I'll be back tomorrow morning 7:50. We'll have a look at everything that is going on. As I say, it's probably not going to have a particularly exciting, fast-moving week this week because we got no news. There's nothing exciting going on until Wednesday, and even that is just CPI. So it's a really, really dull week. So probably a lot of grindy sessions, and the DAX looks like it's obviously doing it as well. So prepare for a fair bit of range-bound activity, big movement, range-bound activity. So just basically accumulation pushes. So it's going to be quite difficult to trade anything, I think, this week. But just get into stuff and get out of it, basically, as usual. So position trading, as I say, I'm starting to scale back into that. But only things with that I've got a very strong bias on, i.e. the euro, but I've gone a little bit too heavy on that one. So so I would look either small time frame scalping still, because that's the easiest way to make money at the moment, is getting in and getting out quickly. And this week, potentially look for range bound opportunities because we've got no news catalyst, so it's likely the market is just going to go into a big accumulation this week. All right, so I'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, 7:50. I'll be in the Telegram group if you need anything. I'll put any trades in the Telegram group that I'm looking at taking, or anything that I'm getting out of from what I've got positions on at the minute. Yeah, anything you need, come in there and let me know. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow morning at 7:50. Have a good day and afternoon. Hopefully make some profit. And I'll see you in the morning.